I'm very happy to welcome Zia MIAN, Director General of the Office of Utilities Regulation in Jamaica. In the Caribbean, there are very special regulatory issues which I want to ask Zia MIAN about. Could you just give us some idea of what are the special conditions in the Caribbean? Many small islands having to cope with a regulatory context which is getting very complicated.
Yes, the size of the market is one of the major issues. The size of the market varies between, let's say, 60,000 inhabitants in some countries to 2.5 billion, which is the largest English-speaking country, which is Jamaica. And the issues and the challenges vary according to the size of the market.
We can talk very glibly about the need for competitive markets, competitive telecom markets, when we're sitting in Western Europe. But in countries where you may have no more than 250,000 people, it's very difficult to get a competitive market. What are the problems that you're coming up against?
Well, in Jamaica, we liberalized the telecom market in 1999, which brought an influx of the mobile service providers. But if one service provider has the land-based services available, it may charge a different price for termination than charging from the other service providers. So that might mean that really we wanted to bring competition. We moved away from monopoly to competition, and then through these practices we might be moving back to monopoly. And that is not a good sign, it's not an encouraging practice.
Now, as individual countries, it is very difficult for Caribbean countries to fight or put themselves in a position of strength against large telecoms operators. Is there any move or any way in which individual islands are grouping together and trying to set themselves up as a single market for operators to operate in?
There are two aspects of it. The one aspect is whether we can have a single type or a uniform regulation. And the second is sharing of information and learning from the experiences of others. As far as having a uniform regulation is concerned, I don't think the regional countries are at the same level as the European Union is, where it is a more uniform regulatory framework, although we have a single market and economy, but no move has been taken towards that because still a number of small islands think they are sovereign states and they have the right, their laws and regulations may be different than the other ones, and you need to bring a uniformity. The move which we have made in the region is that we have a regional organization of the regulators, and we bring all the regulations which are in the region and we review them, look at them and see what are the consistencies or inconsistencies where we can learn from each other's experience and how we can bring better harmonization and flow of information and best practices and experiences.
When we think about telecoms, and this is the big buzzword at the moment, is convergence. Normally telecoms, we think of people coming into your house, installing a telephone and delivering telephone calls, but it's much more than that now, isn't it? Telecoms deliver data, television, entertainment, etc. Now, what does that mean to you as a regulator? It makes your job much more complicated.
It does, because right now what is happening is that we are regulating individually the various aspects of the telecommunication or the information and communication technology. You have the spectrum, you have the broadcasting commission, and you have the internet, and you have then the telecom. We do recognize that the way forward is the convergence, and we have to deal with that, which means that we have to look at is that the new regulation or the new acts which are developed, or the new policies which are developed, they look more towards convergence in terms of ICT regulation rather than the telecom regulations.